Hey, Bills Mafia. We know there's only one topic every day. All Bills, all the time. And now Matt Beauvais and Sal Capaccio are going really deep, talking Bills all year long, because it's always game day in Buffalo.
All right, let's start this always game day in Buffalo with Matt, your gold medal story. Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, great to see you as well.
Tell me about how you consumed the USA gold medal game on Sunday morning.
It was so much fun. So I went to the Lynx Golf and Tap up in North Tonawanda, with a bunch of my buddies, and they opened up early. They had people who had rented their simulators to play like they normally do, but then they had the TVs on at the bar, and a bunch of us just went there, and it was just so much fun. It was just
Sunday morning golf
really
and hockey together. Wow.
It was I didn't do any golf. I didn't swing anything. I was just kind of focused in and like really locked in on the hockey game.
Mm-hmm.
It was a sporting event that I very much enjoyed being able to watch with other people. There is like a barometer for me of what I feel comfortable watching with others and what I would want to watch by myself. And I feel like this is kind of the line. Anything else, I don't think I would want to be with a big group of people. Like if I wasn't, I tell people all the time, if I didn't do what I do, if the Bills were in the Super Bowl or the Sabres were in the Stanley Cup, I would want to watch it by myself in a room. Literally by myself. So this was one of those things that I think was more fun to be with a group of people. And I'm really, really happy that it played out the way it did. It was a ton of fun and it was awesome. How about you?
So I was supposed to be in Indianapolis right now. I'm not. I'm in Studio Capaccio in Buffalo. And the reason is I was on a cruise, and that's why you did the show with Matt Perino. Thanks a lot, Matt. We appreciate that. I was on vacation. The cruise ship got back to New York City, took off out of Brooklyn. All right, it was a cool. Take off out of Brooklyn, go down. We went to Port Canaveral, the Bahamas. Came back up. Cruise ship getting back Sunday morning. Originally, I had scheduled and said this works out great. My wife Yana and my son Max, they'll take me to the Newark airport Sunday. I'll fly to Indy. They'll drive to Buffalo. It'll be great. Yeah. Well, then we looked at the storm was coming, the nor'easter, and I'm like, if you drop me off in Newark and leave, I could get stuck. Like, I don't know what's going to happen here. So we decided a couple days ago, let's just rebook. You know what? We learned, you and I, that we're not going to have to, we're not going to hear from any Bills people, Brandon Bean or Joe Brady, until Tuesday. Yep. So I'm like, I can just go to Indy on Monday. Yeah. The reason why I was going to go on Sunday is what happened last year. Sean McDermott was on the competition committee. Mm-hmm. And because of that, he had to speak Sunday night. So this year I booked, I better get there Sunday. You never know what's going to happen. Well, then that was McDermott gets fired. He's no longer in the competition committee. Joe Brady's the coach. So I said to Jan and Max, I'll just drive home with you on Sunday. That way I'm with you guys. It's the storm. I'll feel better about that. And I'll just fly to Indy Monday morning. So that's the plan now. Well, guess what? Gold medal game Sunday as we are driving from New York City back to Buffalo. I put it on my phone, but so I could listen to the call from Kenny Albert. But we could see it. I could see it off to the side if I wanted to peek. And I'm driving. I'm not going to do that. But Max can watch it. She can watch it. And that's how we consumed the whole game. And then when it got to overtime, we took a stop and like watched it. And it was insane in the car. And I have a 12-year-old hockey playing son. Yeah. And it was amazing. And we had a great time. And then Yana, my wife, who is into it, and, you know, she's into sports because we're into sports and all that. But she loves the pageantry of it. She's from Germany originally, but she loves that. But the one thing that got us, though, was the Johnny Gaudreau stuff. We were balling in the car together. It was crazy.
Oh my gosh. Yes, it's hard to not get emotional about that type of stuff. It's hard to not get emotional watching the parents. First off, with Johnny Gaudreau, but watching all of the parents watch their children accomplish such an incredible thing on the ice. I joke with my wife, our daughter is not even 3 years old, and she brings home a picture of Elmo from daycare, and I'm like, this is making me so proud. I'm so happy.
Right?
And imagine watching your child.
I know.
Watching your child accomplish that would be so incredible. So yeah, it was a really emotional morning. It was a really cool morning. 46 years to the day from Miracle on Ice. So it was cool for like my generation to have this big milestone win, obviously not even in the same breath as what happened in 1980, but still a really cool moment for USA hockey. And as somebody who grew up loving and playing hockey, it was really, really cool to see that happen.
It was great. It was great. What a great day. We have a lot of Canadian Bills fans listeners.
Yeah.
What's your message to the Canadian hockey fans that are Bills fans listening to this today?
Listen, as I was watching the game and after the game, and they were going down the line and putting the silver medals on the Canadian players, there were some players that I found myself like feeling bad for. There's a couple that I definitely didn't. One of them is Macklin Celebrini, because he's going to be there like 4 more times.
Yeah, he's pretty amazing.
So I was like, he's going to win a gold medal, so I don't feel too bad for him.
Yeah.
I feel bad for the guys like McDavid, because it, to me, draws a lot of similarities to a Josh Allen, like being that good.
He's been to the Cup twice in a row.
Yeah, and like Connor McDavid is more accomplished than Josh Allen is. So when that comparison is getting thrown around, or when I'm making it right here, it's not a perfect comparison, but there are moments and times where Josh Allen is the best player in the NFL, and he hasn't won it all yet. There are a lot of moments and a lot of times when Connor McDavid is the best player in hockey. But how funny that the guy who was picked the pick after him, of course, by the Sabres, has now won a Stanley Cup and won an Olympic gold medal before he has won anything. And it starts to creep in. Will he ever do it? Will he ever win? And then you have the chirping from the Kachucks of like, just, now he's lost twice to Matthew Tkachuk in a Stanley Cup, and he has lost to him in a gold medal game.
Right.
It's like, imagine, like, just mentally, like, it's just gonna, when he wins, I think we're gonna see the wave of emotions like we saw when Rory won the Masters. And for Josh Allen, it's going to be the weight of an entire city on his shoulders that will come off of his shoulders if they're ever able to win. So my message to the Canadian viewers and to listeners is like, hey, you've won so many times. You're going to win again.
Right. They're going to win again. Like, it's okay.
Yeah. I know it sucks, but I promise you'll win a gold medal again sometime soon, and everything will be fine.
Yeah, and they were really good today, and they kind of got goalied, and Hellebuyck played amazing, and that's just the way the sport goes sometimes. It's a pass that you think you catch, and then it's called an interception, right? Who knows? And it could just turn on one thing, one save by Connor Hellebuyck in this situation. A funny story: we stopped at the rest stop as we got closer to Buffalo, and a gentleman opened the door for me, and I said, "Oh, thank you." And I looked, and he was wearing Canada, and I said, "Sir, you didn't have to do that for me just because we won the gold today in the United States." He goes, "What gold?" I said, "Doesn't your shirt say Canada?" He goes, "Yeah, what gold?" He was joking, and he just wanted to kind of forget about it right away. So I totally get it. Hey, we love you, our Canadian listeners, our Canadian viewers, Bills fans. Great hockey today, and there promises to be a lot more between these two countries, and it really did. As Matt said about his generation and mine as well. I was 7 years old the first time when it happened in 80. This win and the American women's win, inspires an entire new generation of hockey in the United States and players, and I think it's awesome, and it's great. All right, the business of football is going to get going here in Indy. I will be in Indy tomorrow, luckily, and hopefully, I should say, everything goes well and smooth, but thought I'd be there tonight, but I'll be there tomorrow, and then we're going to hear from Brandon Beane and Joe Brady on Tuesday. This is when the business of football gets going to really kick off the new year, essentially, even though the new year actually doesn't start until March 11th for free agency. When we hear from Brandon Beane and Joe Brady, is there anything specific that you're looking forward to hearing them talk about or want to hear from them?
Not anything specific. I'm more interested in hearing from Brandon Beane than from Joe Brady for sure. Just because we're now getting ready to, I like how you put it, the business of football.
Yeah.
In a few weeks, we will start to know which players are cut, which players are coming back, which players they're targeting in free agency. This is also when there's little things that you pick up on that happen at the combine that you stow away in your back pocket of, oh, look at who is talking to who. Or a lot of it sometimes isn't even really things that get reported because, you don't exactly know what they're having conversations about, but you see them having those conversations. I am more interested to hear from Brandon Beane because I want to know, first off, and he might even just give this answer because sometimes he's fairly transparent with this stuff. How much money are you going to have to spend? Like, where are you going to be at salary cap wise? And I want to know what things, he won't say specifics, what things he is trying to address this offseason. And he's not going to be like, yeah, guys, I need to get 2 wide receivers. I need to get an edge rusher. I need to get an off-ball linebacker. We're not going to get that. But sometimes if you read between the lines, you can kind of get a sense of, you could get context clues of what we might see happen.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, for this, and this is something I said on the radio a couple of weeks ago, this is new territory for me, and I think you and anybody who covers the team in this regard. We usually go to an offseason knowing what the Bills want to do. We just need to know who they're going to do it with. This year's a little different.
Yes.
We don't even know what they want to do yet on defense because we need to see who they're getting first to maybe decide that, right? Like, we're going to have to figure out through this through this offseason player acquisition process, what the defense is going to look like after we start to see the player personnel. For 9 years, we knew what the defense would look like. We just didn't know the players that they might be bringing in or out. Now it's the reverse basically. And I think that's going to be something that we're going to try to pick up on. And as you said, we're not going to know the secrets. We're not going to know exactly who they're targeting. There's no doubt about that, but we can maybe try to figure out what their plan is with a Tre'Davious White, what their plan is with an AJ Epinesa, what their plan is with a Terrell Bernard, who is under contract and obviously is on the team. The first two, we'll see about those guys because they're free agents. I bring them up. What their plan is with an Ed Oliver or the rest of the D line. Like, then maybe, Matt, we can start to put together the clues of what the defense can look like.
Also at the Combine in the last couple of years, there have been newsworthy and notable moments that have happened right off the rip. I'm not anticipating we have that this year, but never say never. Last year, it was a Khalil Shakir extension. I believe he was the first one that the Bills handled, and we found out about that at the Combine, and that kind of overshadowed the first day of the Combine. A few years ago, it was that Leslie Frazier was stepping away as the Buffalo Bills defensive coordinator, and we didn't know what was going to happen for the Bills, and then eventually Sean McDermott called plays. That was before Babich. I don't think we're going to have some big piece of news that drops like that while everybody is in Indianapolis, but once again, we shall see. And there's also, I want to know what's the plan on the offensive line. The only bit of news that happened since we last recorded an episode together was that they signed Alec Anderson to a 1-year contract. They're bringing him back. Looks like it was up to $3 million. Are they bringing back Alec Anderson to do the same thing that he's done? Or are they bringing back Alec Anderson to potentially have a bigger role with maybe the departure of a Connor McGovern or a David Edwards or both? Will we get clarity on that? Or is there an extension that happens and we find out about it while we're in Indy? So I really don't know.
So if you take a look at what David Edwards made last year at I just pulled it up. David Edwards was 3.7 million base salary. And then when you add in the bonuses, it's 4.9. He was about a $5 million cap hit. Alec Anderson's going to be a couple $1 million less than that. I think Alec Anderson is right now penciled in to be the starting left guard. I think Alec Anderson is going to be the starting left guard as I sit here right now in place of David Edwards, who will get a contract somewhere else and he'll go in free agency. Now, Alec Anderson could start at center if they lose Connor McGovern, but bring back David Edwards. I just don't see a world right now that they're going to be able to afford to do that, both of them, because they have to spend so many resources, I think, on the defensive side. And those guys are going to make good contracts, McGovern and Edwards. I think Cedric Van Pran Granger is most likely the penciled in starting center. I do think you're looking at a new starting center and a new left guard, Van Pran Granger at center, Alec Anderson at guard. And even if it's not Van Pran at center, I think Alec Anderson's a starter on this offensive line. So to answer your question, I don't think it's to do the same role he's done. That could be a Chase Lunt from last year.
Yeah.
That could be a guy that they sign another guy. Maybe it's a Tylon Grable or someone like that.
Yeah, and I think the other thing with the Combine, too, is you start to figure out and hear around the league about players who may come available. And I'm not saying that's conversations that the Buffalo reporters are having. I'm just saying there's a lot of national people there, and eventually Adam Schefter is going to go on ESPN and he's going to be like, hey, there's a chance this happens, or there's a chance this person gets traded or whatever. I mean, it even happened a couple of days ago when the Cowboys released Logan Wilson, and then there were dots connected to the Bills of like, oh, well, he was Josh Allen's teammate, and I think the Bills were reportedly interested in him at the deadline before he got traded to the Cowboys. Could he be a guy that they're targeting and they try and figure something out with? So you're just trying to kind of connect those dots. I also admittedly just like that this year so much is still to be determined. With everything, with everything. Like you brought up even something as simple as, hey, Sean was on the competition committee, so people needed to be down there early. Like, what does a Joe Brady led head coach led offseason look like for the Bills? And I don't know the answer to that.
We also could get, as we talked about when you and I were last together, maybe we get some sort of restructure from Josh Allen that we hear about. We heard that from Patrick Mahomes. And what they did with Patrick Mahomes was they freed up a whole bunch of money, and it pushed his cap next year to like 80-something million. That would have that would basically be what would happen with the Bills. Right now, he's got a cap number, Josh, of $57 million. If they were to do that and restructure, you'd be looking at probably $70 million at least next year, I think, and how it would work out. It could be less, but I mean, that's something we could start to hear about, the restructures, right? Not just the contract extensions. How are they making room? Because Matt, and yes, you're right, releases too. Free agency comes a little earlier this year. It's March 11th is the first day. So there's not a lot of time left to do this. We're like 2.5 weeks away.
Yeah, March 11th is the first day of free agency, but March 9th is the legal tampering nonsense.
That's right.
And that's
March 11th is when you have to be under the the cap, though.
But on March 9th, we'll start to hear, I think it's at noon, at 12:05. It's like, hey, this is what the Bills are planning to sign insert player here to a 3-year, $24 million contract or whatever it is. So yeah, we're really kind of coming up to it here relatively soon. One of the things that I did while you were gone was I was just kind of screwing around on some of the websites, Spot Track and Over the Cap. And I remember specifically asking you a question about the Bills' salary cap space this year and if they were in a better or worse space than they have been in years past. The more you look into it, the more buttons and levers you realize can be pulled to give them a ton of cash this year. Now, that does not mean I think they're going to press all of those and pull all of those because they don't want to just keep kicking it down the can over and over and over again. But it's not that hard to see this team get to $40-45 million in cap space, even coming from a position where right now they're a little less than $10 million over the salary cap. But there are 5 or 6 moves that they could make, and then just like that, all of a sudden they have $40 million. We've talked about some of the easy ones, but it's a Josh Allen restructure, it's a Spencer Brown restructure, it's a couple extensions here and there, it's a Curtis Samuel release, it's a couple other things, and then just like that, like they got a lot of money to spend.
Okay, I believe since the last time we talked, since then is when the Bills finalized their coaching staff for 2026, and they announced who their coaching staff is in 2026. And they did retain a couple of defensive assistants. Joe Dana remains on staff. He coached safeties last year, defensive backs coach, and Jason Rebrovich, who's now the senior defensive assistant, which I think is funny because I'm older than Jason Rebrovich, and he's called the senior defensive assistant. He is from Clarence. He has been a defensive line coach, but there has been a pretty complete overhaul on that side of the ball. Not as much on offense, where you do retain Kelly Skipper as running backs coach, and you do also retain Rob Boris as tight ends coach, and he gets the added title of run game coordinator, which is interesting because that tells me he's going to perform a lot of the same duties that Aaron Cromer did last year when he really kind of ran the run game, and even so much as on Sundays was a big part of calling the run game plays.
I think that's the familiarity that they were seeking. Joe Brady was seeking. Hey, like I know what this area can do for us, so I want to make sure that continues to be a strength for this team moving forward. So that one was not a shock by any stretch. Oh, there's one other thing that you did not mention that has happened, and it was part of that coaching staff. John Fox is on this coaching staff.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, we have
not had a chance to talk about that, which is when that PR notification hit my phone, and I saw the entire list and I saw John Fox, I looked at it and I was like, that can't be John Fox. That has to be another person named John Fox. And then a few minutes later, a bunch of our colleagues started posting, hey, look, the Bills have added veteran NFL head coach John Fox to their staff. And I was like, no kidding. Like, that was not something that I was anticipating, but I really like this decision from Joe Brady. That to me was far and away the most notable thing that happened when they finalized their coaching.
I mean, listen, same thing with me. And a lot of people are like, what do you think about it? Why would they do this? Well, it's easy, folks. I mean, Joe Brady, as we said when he was hired, he's a first-time younger head coach, and most head coaches who are first-time younger head coaches need people around them and try to surround themselves with at least one or two people who've been there, done that. They're older. They've been in the league. They have head coaching experience more than anything. That's what Sean McDermott did when he hired Leslie Frazier. Leslie Frazier just won a Super Bowl doing the same thing for a first-time head coach and Mike Macdonald, who's in his second year now. That's what Mike Macdonald did. He hired Leslie Frazier for the same thing. John Fox is on this staff to be a guy that Joe Brady can lean on. He's been through this. Yes, I know he's coached a while ago. He's also been the head coach of 3 different organizations. He's gone to the Super Bowl. The guy has had success in this league. Matt, I can't tell you how many people just had to find a way to criticize it, Bills fans. And I'm here to tell you, folks, if you just have to find a way to criticize the Bills hiring John Fox and you're trying too hard to find a way to criticize something, there's nothing wrong and there is no downside in the Bills hiring John Fox. He's not calling plays on Sunday. He's not determining when to challenge things. He's literally there to help Joe Brady navigate through a season as a guy who's had to navigate through a season with all the different things that come up. And if maybe Joe Brady says, hey, you know what? I got this I got to deal with. John, can you take this on for me for the day? That's what his role is. I just don't see the downside here. Why anybody would be upset about it?
No, it's the two of them sitting in the cafeteria after a really heartbreaking loss. And Joe Brady knowing that he's going to, or some controversial decision, and him knowing that he's going to have to answer questions about it and bouncing it off of a guy like John Fox and being like, hey, how would you handle something like this? What should I say? What shouldn't I say? Or just little things like that. You know, it's not just about putting together. At the end of the day, the thing that matters the most is going out and winning football games, but you're also managing a staff. And that's the other element of this, that we have no idea what that looks like or how the inner workings of that fix, right? Like, you're the boss of a bunch of people. How many times has Joe Brady been the boss of people before, right? Yeah, he was managing an offensive staff, but not an entire staff. Probably would be a good idea to have somebody on your staff who knows what that is like and knows how to do that and bounce some ideas off of. So yeah, I like the move a lot. I see absolutely no downside in John Fox being on the staff.
And you don't, folks, you don't have to love it, but I don't know why you would hate it. I guess that would be the thing. Like, what would be the reason to? This is an extension
of people not liking the Joe Brady hire. This isn't that I don't think anybody in their right mind would really criticize the John Fox stuff. I think it's that they're not happy with the direction the team went. And then for that reason, every decision after will also be met with criticism.
Oh, I had plenty of people in my mentions at Sal Sports, by the way, on X, at Matt_Bove. And I just think it's a natural reaction to what you're saying is right. Whether it's Joe Brady or anything else, it's just a natural reaction to be upset because the team has not achieved the thing that everybody's had hoped for that they've achieved by now. So the moves they're making, you're just mad at. So you have a reason to be mad at it for whatever reason. I'm just telling you, folks, if you're mad about the Bills hiring John Fox, then I don't know what to tell you. I think you're reaching and trying to find something to be mad about. That's the way I see it. Okay. I don't think we have too much more on the Bills. We'll see about where they go. We'll have a lot more for you on that. But I do have around the league and how it impacts the Bills. We also heard recently the Miami Dolphins are releasing Tyreek Hill and Bradley Chubb. Yeah. Any interest in either of those players? It's for the Bills, obviously, it's something that obviously you or I and a lot of people who cover the team have been asked about once they hear it.
Tyreek Hill, absolutely not. None whatsoever. No, thank you. Bradley Chubb.
Let me just stop. I agree with you. I don't even know if he's going to play next year, Tyreek Hill. Yeah. Like, his injury is so severe, he might not play next year. And even if he does, what are you getting at what point from Tyreek Hill? That is not worth bringing a guy who's had a lot of distractions for teams and getting older and relies on speed and has had this injury. So I agree with you 100% on that one. I'll start with Bradley Chubb and say I'm also not interested in Bradley Chubb. He really wasn't that good last year, to be honest with you. I don't know what you want to bring him in like you did a Matthew Judon last year and just say, hey, if he can show us something, we can activate him for a game. I don't really see the need to pay Bradley Chubb to come to Buffalo.
No, because somebody's going to pay Bradley Chubb. Somebody's going to give Bradley Chubb a decent amount of money. And I feel like that's going to be, I don't want to say a bad decision because it will completely depend on where he ends up. But for the Bills, like whatever pass rusher they add with a notable name will probably have to be somebody who is starting opposite of Greg Rousseau. And I don't think you're getting nearly enough juice with a Bradley Chubb and Greg Rousseau led pass rush. That to me does not do it. And the contract he's going to get is going to be a starter somewhere. He's not going to be a rotational guy.
I said he wasn't that good last year. He did have 8.5 sacks. I just don't think he was like, I don't think he's been the player that we've been used to seeing him. And, when he came into this league and he had a really great rookie year. So I'll give him more credit than I thought. 8.5 sacks is a nice number, but I don't think that defense was pretty good at times as it went on last year. It wasn't very good to start the year. I just don't see the need to sign a Bradley Chubb. And I don't know where he would fit right now, considering the money you might have to pay for him. That said, if the Bills do have a chance to go out and maybe poke into a Max Crosby, maybe poke into a Trey Hendrickson, I'm not opposed to it. I do agree with you. They need to add to the pass rush.
Can I give you two scenarios? This is a fun game.
Okay.
Pick one. Okay. One being option one. The Bills trade their first round pick and a second round pick next year for Max Crosby. And then they draft a wide receiver in the second round of this year's draft. Or option two, the Bills sign Mike Evans in free agency, keep their picks, and then in the first round, also draft a wide receiver, and in the second round, draft an edge rusher. Which of those two do you like better?
I like the second option better, but I don't know how much I love just the Mike Evans thing. I just don't know. I'm not. I like Mike Evans. I don't really
any wide. You can use any free agent wide receiver for this exercise. Like George Pickens, I'm assuming is going to get franchise tag, so he does not count. I guess the only one I wouldn't count in this is Alec Pierce because I feel like he is going to get a huge contract. But anybody else,
what if Pittman is released?
Well, then for sure. Like I'm just basically my premise is, if you want a Max Crosby, he unequivocally helps your team, but you also then say goodbye to a lot of resources.
Here's my
reasoning
and answer to this. Okay, this is where I stand right now as we sit here, the eve before going to the combine and all that, not knowing a lot of stuff. Let's go back to what I said earlier in this show. I don't know what the defense is going to look like, but here's what I do think about the defense. They're going to have a better pass rush because of who the defensive coordinator is and the way he wants to attack. So I don't think you have to go out and get the premium pass rusher because I think that what they're doing on defense will kind of help that anyway. I think you still need a premium wide receiver.
I agree.
I'm not interested in getting second-tier wide receivers and third-tier wide receivers to just help out on the back end. This wide receiver group needs help on the top end. As much as it would help to get a pass rusher in the top end, I'm not saying you couldn't. Of course, it would always be great to get Max Crosby. I have faith that Jim Leonard's defense and what he wants to do attacking wise, they'll find a way to do that with the guys they have or the pieces he wants to bring in that don't have to be the big tickets.
I think with a move like a Max Crosby, it would be a huge addition for the Bills and they're a better team because of it. But once the dust has settled, then you would realize, oh man, that cost you a first and probably more, maybe even 2 firsts, maybe a first next year. And then you get to the draft and you're like, okay, how do we plug the holes? And oh, by the way, he makes a ton of money. So then all of a sudden your salary cap is really limited and you're talking about way fewer free agents and way fewer changes. It would really be like Max Crosby is the move. And then you have a couple other little things here and there. That's why to me, while it's intriguing, I think drafting a wide receiver in the first round, signing a notable upgrade to me, which that's why I brought up Mike Evans. I just like the idea. And then still getting a pass rusher who should make some sort of impact. Because to me, what I feel like is going to happen if they keep all of their picks, I feel pretty confident in saying that their first 3 picks will be some combination of edge rusher, wide receiver, and linebacker. That is what I am anticipating is going to happen with this team. Is those are going to be the top 3 positions that, and I know that they don't draft for positional need, but that's also kind of nonsense. You could maybe get me to safety instead of linebacker, but that's probably the only other one.
Yeah, I mean, I think they really still, I'm not trying to sound like the WGR thing and Jeremy White, and with all due respect to the wide receiver train, I just think they really have to add at the top end of wide receiver more than any other position, but they still need a lot of help on defense otherwise. Like the top end, if you're going to give me a one big ticket, one big name, one position where you get the top person you can, I'm going to pick wide receiver. I guess that's the best way for me to say it, because I think that they can fill out and do other things around the roster with the second tier guys more than they can at wide receiver. I'm tired of that. Like that's what they've tried to do. And I actually think Brandon Beam will try to do that in some capacity based on things he said already this offseason and doing interviews with you, with other colleagues of ours, like just people that he's talked to, that he's basically kind of indicated that, I think this is the direction they want to go. Okay. The combine also is the time when we see rules proposals start to percolate. And then those rules proposals go to the owners' meetings where we will be in Phoenix area at the end of March. One of them that I saw today that's going to be discussed today, by the way, is the aiding the runner. Not necessarily tush push, although you could weave that in. But the specific tush push stuff from last year is not there. What is going to be this year is possibly aiding the runner, which is pulling from front forward, or in the middle of the open field, there's a pile and going pushing the pile or pushing the runner in the pile, not like the tush push. I'm all for getting rid of that stuff. I've always said it. Football to me is not a game where you should be pulling runners forward, not a game where you should be pushing runners from behind. I just don't think that it's really, there used to be a rule called aiding the runner. It wasn't allowed. They changed the rule back in like early 2000s, Matt, because it was so tough to adjudicate. And I get that. And I understand anybody's complaint that says, I don't want to put more in the officials' hands, but I just don't like it. I would love if they got rid of that and flagged a player for grabbing a running back and pulling him forward.
Well, that's where we, I guess, disagree. If that's what happens, then I hate the idea because I feel like it would be very tricky to enforce. If you said at that point the play is dead, I at least think I could get there. But if it turned into a penalty, I would be like, oh, God. Because in my head, the first play that I think of when you're talking about the scenario that we're going over is the 4th and 1 conversion in Jacksonville in the wild card round when Josh QB sneaks, tush pushes, whatever, and Osiris Torrance basically carries him 4 yards to what looked like a touchdown, but then ended up being just short. In that instance, I
agree with you. I don't need a penalty on it, but I don't think you should be allowed to do that.
I agree with you. You. I just don't know how you enforce that. That's a very tricky thing.
It is, and that is the problem. That is the problem. I totally get that. The tush push part is, it looks like it's not, unless you include that with the aiding the runner. I don't think we're going to have that this year. Not that debate that we had last year. That was a big deal.
That was
last year. The other one is, do you remember the play with the Rams and the Seahawks, the 2-point conversion play? I don't know. Maybe you've seen something. I don't know what language they want to use, but apparently the Rams are like, we got to fix that because that sucked.
Yeah, that can never happen again. So that's like the only other thing that I saw get brought up as for these very preliminary conversations. And I remember watching at the time being like, this is really stupid. I understand what the rules say, but it's very stupid that this played out the way it did. So let's make sure that does not happen again.
Okay. Speaking of that, I'm going to give you one, and then you can get to some questions we have that you could read, okay? But I have one for you. Speaking of, this is very stupid. I think there's something that's very stupid. I tweeted about it the other day, and I have a lot of people. I mean, I got thousands of likes and hundreds of retweets and quote tweets and replies, and many people agree with me. And many people think I'm a freaking idiot. How did you not even know that as a sports reporter? You're stupid, whatever. Okay. I did not realize, first of all, that coaches for the Olympic hockey teams or basketball teams do not get medals when they win, which is fine. I just never thought about it too much. Never realized it. Maybe I heard it once in my life. kind of brushed it off, which means Herb Brooks never actually got a gold medal for winning in 1980 against the Russians. I also think that's stupid.
Yep.
That's stupid.
And
then the number one common reply to me is, well, do you think that the figure skaters coach should get it or the skiers coach? Sure, then let's do that. Maybe we can have a thing where each person gets one coach, they can get it. I don't know. We should have something, though, that allows the Olympic hockey coach who wins the gold medal to get a medal.
Yeah, I don't think it's that crazy of a distinction either. What do you want, the figure skating coach to get one? Yeah, sure.
Why not?
If they're figure skater one, I'm not the one gatekeeping the gold medals. I think the very easy solution here would be if it is a team sport, the head coach or main coach gets a medal. I
think the question then is, what is a team sport? Curling's a team sport.
Yeah.
Do they have a head coach?
I don't know. But give them a medal.
I don't know either. Right. I don't care either. Give as many medals as you want for people. Or
team sport meaning more than two people. Yeah. So that would be the barometer of like
bobsled. Sure.
2-person bobsled, no. 4-person bobsled, yes. And if it's the same coach, then you better win both, or you better win with the 4-person unit as opposed to the 2-person unit. Like figure skating, I know that it's a lot of, pairs.
Sure.
I don't necessarily.
I'll even go a step further than you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to this. If the International Olympic Committee said, you know what? Every athlete that competes, individual sport, team sport, doesn't matter. Team sport, we know who the coaches are. They're listed on the roster, right? If you're an individual competitor, you get to choose one primary main coach to get a medal if you medal. They don't have to go to the podium with you. We don't have to put it on them there. But they get to have that in their life. You get to it could be your mom or dad, though. Maybe that's your main coach. I don't know. But I don't know. It's got to be somebody. There's got to be some way to do this. It's ridiculous to me that I think that when I think about back to Herb Brooks, for example, I think about Mike Sullivan does not get to get an Olympic gold medal for coaching the U.S. Olympic team to their first gold medal in this particular sport, this fashion, in 46 years.
How about this? Here, IOC, call me. What if we create a new medal for the coaches and it is not gold, silver, or bronze?
Sure.
What if it's like tungsten? I don't know, something. I don't know.
Whatever
platinum.
it is.
The platinum medal.
Yeah.
The platinum medal goes to the coach.
Give her something.
I'm sure they get a ring or something, but nothing's cooler than a medal.
Okay, so that's a great point. So another common reply to me was, well, they're not the ones competing. Great. If you think that, then no head coach of the NFL team that wins a Super Bowl should get a ring. They're not the ones competing.
It's also BS because a hockey coach
is competing.
I know they're not competing, but they are making an absurd amount of decisions that have a direct. Same for any coach of any major team sport. And I can't pretend like I know the intricacies of all of these other sports, but like, come on, think about how much stuff an NFL coach is doing. Think about how much stuff in NHL, or in this instance, like I don't think he did a phenomenal job with some of the decision making, but Mike Sullivan had a lot of decisions that he had to make that had an impact on them ultimately winning gold. So, like, I think he deserves, even with the questionable decisions, something other than, whatever the pat on the back he gets is.
So Matt's on my side. The worst one I got was some guy kept telling me how he coached his little kids' team to all these championships, and he never got anything because of the smiles on their faces. Holy cow, what are we doing? Yeah. This is not the adults coaching the little kids, folks. This is the Olympics. What are we talking about here? Oh, my God. Anyway, I'm glad you agree with me on that.
When you just said that, I thought about, so on Saturday night, I watched Miracle just to kind of like get the juices flowing for the game. And it was spreading a lot. I don't know if you would have seen it because it was when you were on your cruise, but when they played against Sweden, the clip of Kurt Russell as Herb Brooks going, "Who we playing, Rammer?" To like Mike Ramsey. It's like Sweden. It's like Sweden in the Olympics. And for some reason, when you were just saying that, I was like, it's the Olympics.
It's the Olympics.
It's as big as it possibly.
Adults coaching little kids. Oh my God.
I have to try and set up an interview with Tage when he comes. And the problem is like,
Yeah.
Now everybody in the world, not everybody in the world, but a lot of people are going to want to talk to Tage. I want to talk to Tage about everything that he experienced and ask nothing about the game. So many people are going to ask about the game. What was it like when Jack Hughes scored? I want to know what it was like in his hotel the night before the game. Like, I want to know what.
Don't give away your secrets to what you're going to ask.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, that stuff's interesting.
Other people are going to ask that now because you said that. I love that. No, it's great for you. Good for you. By the way, I would say one little bit of hockey. I'm wearing my Sabres quarter zip today. One little thing on hockey with this. I also think Tage Thompson playing in the World Championships and scoring the golden goal there, playing in this environment is only really going to help Tage Thompson and the Buffalo Sabres going forward, for him to be in this type of that type of competition and doing that. All right, Matt, you put out the call for any questions. We got a bunch of them. Give me a couple.
John Green, one free agent target on offense/defense you think the Bills will sign? I don't want to put us on the spot.
Well,
you can
defense. I'm going to say Leo Chanel.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Linebacker Leo Chanel. Linebacker Leo Chanel. Yes.
Okay, I like that one.
He played at Wisconsin for Jim Leonard.
Yeah, he played at Wisconsin for Jim Leonard, and obviously he had some success with the Chiefs. I know versatility seems to be the name of the game for him. I have one that's a little fun, and it actually contradicts what you said a little bit ago.
Mm-hmm.
How about Wyatt Teller on offense?
I thought about him. I absolutely, and him and Josh, really good friends. Here's the problem. I just think they're not going to be able to pay him. He's going to get a lot of money.
I don't know if he is. And that's the reason I say it, because I don't think they're big. If you're moving on from David Edwards, you were doing that because you were trying to get cheaper at the position. The reason I bring up Wyatt Teller is I wonder if people start to have some reservations about, like, hey, getting a little older, the play has slipped a little bit. And then because of the familiarity, the Bills are like, yeah, we didn't plan on paying David Edwards $20 million a year.
Right.
We're pretty comfortable paying Wyatt Teller $10 million a year. And then all of a sudden, Alec Anderson maybe becomes your center. And then offensive line, you feel really, really good about moving forward.
When Wyatt Teller, when that came out that he was going to get released, I thought about it. And I would not put it past, and I think it wouldn't be a bad idea. And Brandon Beane has always said that's the one move that he always kind of regretted, was trading Wyatt Teller, right? He's made that well, then maybe not one move he's regretted, but it has been something he's regretted. I'll give you another one. I've always said I believe that Tremaine Edmunds was a better 3-4 inside linebacker and more suited than he would be 4-3 middle linebacker. Any thought in bringing Tremaine Edmunds back to play 3-4 inside linebacker?
I don't think he's available.
Oh, the word is he's going to get released.
Oh, really?
I apologize. He's not a free agent, but there is a report that he's going to get released.
Oh.
Would you do that?
No, because I think he's going to make a lot of money.
Okay.
Even if it's not for I
probably right.
I don't know. I wouldn't do it though. I wouldn't do it. I feel like while it's an important position, you'd have a lot of money tied up at linebackers.
Yeah.
Because Terrell Bernard already makes a lot of money, and Tremaine Edmunds would be getting a lot of money. So, personally, I wouldn't do it.
Okay.
Let me go back to these
questions. I don't think so either, but I've always believed he was more suited for that role.
I really like this question. This is a really good question. This is from Sean. Is there any potential UFA signing that would shoot up a signal that McDermott had more control of the roster than Beane did? I'll read it again because it's an interesting point.
Sure. I get it. I understand what they're saying, but go ahead.
Yeah. Is there any potential UFA signing that would shoot up a signal that McDermott had more control of the roster than Beane did?
I don't know of a specific player. I'd have to go to a position here and say, that's right. And I'm probably looking at, I actually think wide receiver could be it.
Yeah.
I think wide receiver could be it. I think a really big ticket wide receiver.
Yeah. Right. Not everybody eats is gone. Right. Everybody eats is dead. Right. We want a dude. I mean, Brandon did trade for a dude at one point, right? And that's what the offense looked like. And then it felt like
think about it this way. If they sign a pass rusher, that's happened under McDermott.
Yeah.
what do they sign? A big ticket D tackle. But McDermott's always wanted that. He's kind of wanted a good D line. It's not something it's just what happened. So I think it's got to be wide receiver, I think, for me for that.
Safety came to mind for me a little bit, but it's also just because they had the same safeties for so long that I think they just kind of got really familiar. And then that's obviously why, Jordan Poyer came back. And even though he didn't play at one point, Micah Hyde came back. So safety was another position that I thought of. James, make a bold prediction for the biggest splash move the Bills will make this offseason.
Oh man, we're doing a lot of personnel stuff here. I don't know. It's so early to talk about that stuff. Biggest, I do think, I don't know. Again, it's way too tough to get specific. I think they're going to bring in a big name or big move type of wide receiver situation. I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I almost feel like Brandon Beane is going to overcorrect at wide receiver because the wide receiver thing has been a topic of conversation. I feel like, and it won't be literally this, but I could see a trade and a high-end draft pick all going towards wide receiver and being like, oh, weren't happy with the wide receivers. Well, here you go. Here are your wide receivers. This is a really good question.
Like, I don't think I don't think that this team's going to necessarily trade him, but it would not stun me if all of a sudden we read one day, like we did Stephon Diggs 6 years ago, the Bills just traded for Justin Jefferson. Like that, I'm just telling you. I'm just saying something like that is not going to stun me this year.
Yeah. Oh, if there's any player that this team could add.
I know.
That's the guy.
I'm using, but it wouldn't stun me.
3 firsts, you do it? Easy, yes?
I think that's too many. You can't do that. No. 2 firsts?
I don't think that's enough.
I don't know. I'm saying give me another guy. There could be another guy in a team I'm not thinking of, though, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
Could be somebody, and I'm like, and you see that one day, and you're like, holy cow. And I'm like, I'm telling you, I knew he'd going to do something like this year.
Yeah. These are good questions because they're not going to put us on the spot with personnel stuff. Jason, did you watch any Olympic events that you hadn't seen before that you really enjoyed? That's a great question, Jason.
Can't think of one off the top of my head. I was on my cruise for most of the Olympics. I did peek in once in a while when I could.
The easy answer is going to be curling for a lot of people because curling always sees a spike after the Olympics happen because people get interested in it and they go, oh, there's places to curl in Western New York. I would love to go try curling.
Can you give me the Cliff's Notes version on what happened? Is it just that the guy was poking it a little too late past the line? Is that basically it? Okay. All right.
That's what I think. I think he was almost steering with the index
that was amazing.
A little bit, which was a little. The other thing I'll say is I would never be able to do it by myself, but I would love to try like being in a bobsled and going down the track at 70 miles an hour.
Sure.
I think that would be a ton of fun, and I understand I am not nearly athletic enough to be running next to the thing and jumping into it or anything like that. But if you just allowed me to be the third guy in and just someone shoved us and then we went down the track, I would love that. That would be fun.
Listen, skeleton looks really fun.
That's
terrifying. That one they just get on. I mean, I just remember wheeling around the gym when I was a kid on one of those little boards. Whoa, let's go, baby. So, yeah.
Every time I watch the Olympics and I watch any skiing event, I find myself wanting to spend more of an effort and time learning how to ski. I've been skiing once in my life. It was fun. All I know is, are you a skier at all?
I've never skied ever.
Ever. Okay. Pizza.
I've never put on skis.
Pizza and French fries. That's how they teach the kids what you do with your skis. Pizza, you point towards a triangle, and that's how you slow down. French fries, that's how you go faster. You keep them straight. That's the only thing I know about skiing. Pizza, French fries.
Okay.
So there you go. Well, and this is a question from Ryan. Any preseason games being played in the new stadium? Yeah, we believe so. Yeah. There should be.
Oh, yeah, there absolutely will be. I mean, the Bills, they're not playing anything else in the old stadium.
This is a 2-year. This is two games.
This is
two
a
home preseason.
Yep, that's correct. 2 home preseason.
We think there could always be some sort of weird thing. We don't know.
Yeah, right. But yeah, they're going to play 2 games, and then we'll talk about. And by the way, May is going to be. I'm going to be. It's really weird. So I believe, the Bills cruise, the Buffalo Football Legends cruise that I'll be
when
on.
the
And
schedule
doing
comes out?
I'm going to be on there. We're going to be on there when the schedule comes out. So we're planning on, folks, having a big schedule release party while we're on the cruise. And I'm going to join Matt in a podcast, hopefully. And we're going to talk about it because it's going to be amazing. And if you haven't checked it out, Buffalo Football Legends cruise, Fred Jackson and Doug Flutie are coming now, and Thurman Thomas and Steve Tasker. And it's amazing. But we're going to celebrate Thurman's 60th, and we're going to have a schedule release party that week when it comes out.
Love that. All right, 2 other things, and then we'll wrap up. Matt, this is from Matt. No question, but boy, should I have listened to you guys sooner on The West Wing. Just got through season 2. What an amazing show.
I still haven't seen it.
Still haven't seen it. I cannot recommend
but I will.
it enough.
I
West
need
Wing
to.
is my
I've heard a
favorite
lot
show.
about it. Yes.
First 2 seasons are incredible. And then this one is more, I guess, of a question for me, but we'll also kind of wrinkle you in here. This is a question from Ryan. He says, at the peak moments for each team, which do you enjoy covering more? The Sabres and Bills, and why? And what's the differences? So he was like, it's more of a question for Matt, just based on jobs. But you're around.
No. I'm a talk show host. I have a press pass to Sabres. I sit in the press box, but I usually get tickets and take my son. Here's the problem, Matt. Neither of us has been around to cover this team or talk about them in the peak years for them, for the Sabres. They've had this drought.
Yeah.
You've never covered the team as a professional since they made the playoffs. I literally moved back to Buffalo from Florida like 3 months after their last playoff game. I have not been back here since they had the playoffs.
Here's what I'll say. I love hockey. I've always loved hockey. Hockey is much more of my first love, and I feel like I actually know a lot more about hockey than I do about football. To me, I think covering a playoff hockey series or eventually a Stanley Cup would be more fun. I think covering the NFL is more rewarding. That's how I would put it. I think I would enjoy the grinds that comes with a game every other night, the stories that come with the series, just how fun hockey is. But there is something that I thoroughly enjoy in an adrenaline rush out of covering the NFL and knowing that everybody in the country is watching that you just don't get with hockey. And even though hockey is my first love, there's something about being at an AFC championship at Arrowhead Stadium, watching Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes play, and you're like, people are going to talk about this game for a long, long time. Even though hockey's amazing, I bet there are people who are listening to this podcast who couldn't tell you who played in the Eastern and Western Conference Finals last year.
Right.
You could tell me who played in the Stanley Cup, but a lot of that kind of gets pushed to the back burner and forgotten. So that's why, to me, I do enjoy football in the stage that comes with it.
25 games left for the Buffalo Sabres. They started off coming back Wednesday night at New Jersey. Jack Hughes, the game-winning goal, the golden goal. Tage Thompson, that's going to be pretty cool. I'm sure they're going to honor both them, in New Jersey. Then they have a few road games, then they come back. What you're just talking about, the reason why I'm bringing this up,
yes,
I just can't wait for the next 25 games. I just want it so bad. I want my son to see playoff hockey. He's 12 years old. I just want it. I agree with you that it would be so fun, but I'm a football guy at heart, but man, I want to see it. I want to know what it's like to be a part of a playoff series here in Buffalo while I'm here in this role, in this capacity, working in professional, media. So I can't wait for that. All right. We can't wait to talk to you. Go ahead.
The first home game back for the Sabres is against the Vegas Golden Knights.
That's right.
Jack Eichel. So before the game, Tage will certainly be honored, but so will the other gold medalists, which would be Noah Hannafin and Jack Eichel. Listen, I can't tell you what you should be doing, but if I was a fan in that building, I think Jack Eichel gets a standing ovation before the game, and then you boo the crap out of him whenever the game starts. But that's the way you handle it.
100% agreed.
Massive part of them winning a gold medal.
No doubt about it. Yeah, that's going to be cool. By the way, how about the Vegas Knights having 5 different players who played in that gold medal game? 3 for Canada, 2 for the United States. That's incredible how talented they are. All right. More football on the way this week. I'll be at Indy all week for the Combine. Yep. Matt's got you covered back here at home at WKBW TV Channel 7. Dom Tibbetts is going to be there for Channel 7, helping out Matt in Indianapolis. I'll be there as well. at Sal Sports, at Matt_Bove. Thanks a lot to our producer, Mike Rabier. Have a great rest of your week, but we'll talk to you again later this week. The business of football continues in Indianapolis.